Everyone is talking about the brand new king of smart home cleaning, the X1 OMNI with the automated clean water replacement tank and the crazy turbo rotating brushes for floor scrubbing and the heat drying of those pads for reduction of bacteria. But not a lot of people are talking about this little guy. It totally got overshadowed. So I partnered with Ecovacs to talk about my experience with the Deebot X1 Plus, the most affordable out of the X1 lineup. And is this the sleeper hit out of all of them? And do you really need all that fancy stuff if you don't actually use it? Well, first of all, let me start off by saying that I've used so many robot vacuums over the years, and a lot of them overlap each other. They all basically do the same things, but they are definitely not created equal. I've had some good ones, and I've also had some bad ones in the past as well. This is actually my first Ecovacs vacuum ever, and it quite doesn't work like any of the other robot vacuums that I've tried. So let me talk about what stood out to me in almost my 1 month use with the X1 Plus. The setup was really easy and very typical of vacuums today, so you won't have any issues getting this connected to your Wi-Fi network. All you need to do is download the Ecovacs Home app for iOS or Android and just follow the steps. But after I did this, that's when I started to notice the differences. First, let me say I really appreciate the design of the vacuum itself. The finish on it is plastic, but it really feels well built. It's easy to access everything if you need, and it's magnetic, so no flaps to mess around with. And it looks so sleek and modern with this industrial design. The base is also the same design language and looks good in a modern home, so I'm really digging this. Just off the first run, I knew something was very different because I've never had a robot vacuum map this fast on the first run ever. Every vacuum I've ever had in the past goes close to the corners, maps out a layout of the rooms, and it basically takes the time of a first clean to create a map. But the Ecovacs X1 Plus did not do that at all. And I'm not gonna lie, at first I thought it was just broken because it was just rolling in the middle of the room and just kind of scoping things out. But that's exactly how quick mapping works. It uses the sensors and cameras to create the map. And in just a few minutes, I had a general map that I could work with. Obviously, the more it cleaned, the better the maps got. There are a ton of features in the maps where you can set virtual boundaries, label different areas, and divide rooms if you need to. You can even merge rooms after auto mapping, and you get a neat 3D house map that generates on its own, but you can also customize it if it misses anything. Not all the choices may be there for furniture, but you get enough to get a good map. What this allows you to do is set furniture area cleaning, and you have a lot of control of how the X1 Plus cleans. And that brings me to the second thing that really stood out, and that is the app. I was surprised how much control that you have in your clean. You can change settings for each individual room. So let's say that your living room gets dirtier throughout the day. You can set that room to vacuum twice. My entryway over there is a point of a lot of dirt, so I can make sure that it mops twice. And you can even set the vacuum power as it goes over certain rooms. Now, don't let this intimidate you because you can just leave it on auto clean and it does a really good job. It will ramp up as it goes over carpeted areas like my rug in the living room, and when it detects more dirt, it will increase the suction power so you can just easily use it like this if you want. But if you like control, this is far more than what I've seen on a robot vacuum before. You can create schedules that clean only certain rooms. You can even set a cleaning sequence if you want of where it cleans first and where it ends. So this is a dream for people who want that full control of their clean. The next thing that I noticed is just how accurate the clean is and how good it is going around furniture. The last one I had bumped into furniture to know where it was at, and even though it didn't damage any of the furniture, it did move my chairs around. But the X1 Plus is so precise because it uses laser tech, or a time of flight sensor as you might know it as. You can see it on top of the vacuum, but it also uses this insane looking 3D camera setup here on the front. And there are more sensors on the sides. So the combination of all these make the Ecovacs Deebot X1 Plus one of the best that I've ever seen when it comes to going around furniture. It gets so close, but it doesn't touch. And those big brushes on the side guides the dirt into the vacuum and doesn't push it away like I've seen on some other vacuums. I'm also happy that this main brush isn't just rubber like some of the manufacturers are going to. In my opinion, they just don't work as good. There are some big wheels at the bottom so it doesn't get stuck under bar stools like this. The obstacle avoidance is one of the best that I've ever seen as well. Almost everything that I throw at it, it will avoid. I had lots of fun testing this out, by the way. In my 1 month of use, I've never had this stop because it sucked up something it wasn't supposed to. Now, granted, we do pick up large items before the vacuum runs, but we have left some stuff on the floor and it's never sucked it up. It has completed every clean. The only thing with the Max Plus vacuum power is that it will run out of battery quicker, but my downstairs isn't big enough to run out of battery before it gets done vacuuming, so I don't have those issues. If you do have a huge home though, and it runs out of battery, it will redock, recharge the battery, and come back out to complete the clean. And in my experience, the vacuum power is really good, so you don't need the Max Plus vacuum power in my opinion. You can keep it on Max or even standard, and it definitely does the job. The base that it comes with doesn't have some of the fancier things that the flagship Deebot X1 OMNI has, but it does have the automatic dustbin removal that I've become so used to. If you need to empty it manually, you can remove it, but I haven't touched it since I've been using it. It takes about 10 seconds to empty it, and the vacuum suction power from it is insane. You will hear it. If you want to see something gross, this is what has accumulated in almost a month. Ugh. Another new feature that is a nice touch that I haven't used before is this vacuum's air freshener feature. It just fits right back here, and while it cleans, it's like a diffuser and leaves the house smelling nice and fresh, so some of you might really like this. I wish I had this vacuum when I used to be a real estate agent. I would have just put this vacuum in all of the homes that I showed, so that's something to think about if you are an agent. Voice command is not new to robot vacuums. Most of them have some type of smart home support, so you can start or end the clean by voice. But the Ecovacs X1 series takes it to the next level with its own built-in assistant, Eco. And this allows you to have control of the map tone basically with just your voice. So here's an example of a voice command. Okay, Eco. Clean the kitchen.
Okay, stop current task and start area cleaning.
And there it goes. Okay, Eco. Go home. Just like that. This is very nice that you can start area cleans. You can get as specific as cleaning around specific pieces of furniture like a sofa, so this is really cool. I use it a lot to start the clean when I leave the house, so it's really handy to have that assistant built in. But the icing on the cake is the video manager. Yes, I said video manager. You do have to put in a password for security, but you can use the X1 Plus as a security camera. You can hit the home patrol video and see your entire home. It's kind of crazy that you can do this with the robot vacuum. You can record video or take photos, and you can even two-way talk with the voice call, which is wild. So if you're curious what's going on in certain rooms while you're away, or something is out of view for your security camera, you can do this with the X1 Plus. It's wild, right? You can even schedule patrols if you want at certain times, so let me know if you would use this feature in the comment section below. After having a lot of time with this, I'm really impressed with the Ecovacs Deebot X1 Plus, but I have to admit, when I saw the X1 OMNI and started seeing videos, I was kind of jealous because there's so many features packed into it, but after I used this for a while, I realized this is probably the only robot vacuum that I actually need. I do want to try the turbo brushes on the X1 OMNI, but the X1 Plus does have an oscillating mop attachment, and that does work better than the static ones that I've used in the past. And yes, you can run the vacuum and the mop at the same time if you want to. I run it like that all the time, and it does a really good job of determining where the carpet begins and where the hard floors are. To use this, you will need to remove this and put on the mopping attachment. You will need to put some water in it, and then you could either use the reusable ones that it comes with, or there are some disposable ones that come in the box as well. Then you just attach it like this.
Osmo Pro reservoir installed.
And there's a built-in speaker in here too, which is really nice. And the super cool thing about this, as you can see, is that it is vacuuming and mopping at the same time, so you don't have to wait. If you do want to try the turbo mop and don't want to pay the flagship prices, there is a Deebot X1 Turbo for a little bit more money. So if you have a lot of hard surface flooring, then you might want to look into that one. Whether it's the mop or vacuum, this is one of the most consistent robot vacuum experiences that I've ever had. It is by far the best mapping system, and it's the most consistent when it comes to completing jobs. I'm so glad I got introduced to Ecovacs. I know this is a sponsored video, but I challenge you to get one of these and use it in your own home. I think you'll feel exactly the same. I'll leave some links down below so you can check current pricing, and you can also get more info on the models that make sense for you. And if I can get a hold of the X1 OMNI, then I'll do a comparison so you can see exactly what you're missing. But I have a feeling that if you pick up the X1 Plus, you'll be just as happy. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this, subscribe for a lot more smart home videos like this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.